You thought it would end. It didn't. You made it out, but something followed you. There is a specific kind of person who survives something they were never supposed to survive. And at first, it looks like a victory. You got out. You're still alive. You tell yourself it's over. But something changes. Because survival doesn't reset you. It rewrites you. And this is where people don't understand what actually happens. You don't leave. You adapt. At the beginning, it's small. You start noticing things other people don't. The way someone looks at you for half a second too long. The way a car slows down near you. The silence between words. Your brain doesn't relax. It scans, constantly. This is hypervigilance. It's not fear. It's something deeper. It's your mind learning that danger isn't an event. It's a state. And once your brain learns that, it doesn't forget. But this isn't really about cartels. It never was. It's about what happens when your environment teaches you that safety is temporary. And now it's too late. Because even when the threat is gone, your body doesn't believe it. You start to feel uncomfortable in normal situations. Quiet rooms feel wrong. Peace feels suspicious. You don't trust calm. Because calm used to mean something was about to happen. And this is where people break. Not inside the danger, but after it. Because survival psychology doesn't just help you stay alive. It changes what alive feels like. You stop reacting like other people. You start anticipating everything. You don't wait for things to go wrong. You assume they will. You adjust. You always adjust. You don't leave. You become someone who fits the environment you survived. And the problem is, that environment doesn't exist anymore, but you still do. No one tells you this. You begin to feel disconnected. From people, from conversations, from emotions. You sit in a normal room, and it feels fake. Like everyone else is playing a role you no longer understand, because where you came from, there were no roles, only survival, only consequences, only decisions that actually mattered. And now, nothing feels real enough, and something changes. You stop trying to explain it, because people don't get it. They say things like, just move on. But you already did, physically, mentally, you're still there. This is trauma adaptation. Your brain reorganizes itself around what kept you alive, and it doesn't ask permission. It just does it. You don't choose it. It becomes you, and now it's too late. Because even your thoughts start to shift. You think in outcomes, in risks, in worst-case scenarios. You don't hope things go well. You prepare for when they don't. You don't trust easily. You don't relax fully. You don't feel safe. Because safety, to you, was never permanent. It was always borrowed time. This is what changes you. You start to realize something uncomfortable. You were more yourself back there than you are now. Because back there, everything made sense. Danger had rules. People had roles. Actions had consequences. Here, everything feels unpredictable in a different way. And this is where identity begins to fracture. Because who are you? When the version of you that survived doesn't fit in the world you escaped to, you don't notice when it happens. But you begin to withdraw, not dramatically, subtly. You talk less, you share less. You observe more, you become quiet, not because you have nothing to say, but because you've learned that silence is safety, and silence follows you, even when you don't need it anymore, and something else changes. You stop feeling things the same way, not completely numb, but distant, like emotions are happening behind glass. You recognize them, but you don't fully feel them, because feeling too much used to be dangerous. It slowed you down. It made you vulnerable, so your brain learned to turn it down, and it never turned it back up. You don't leave, you adapt. Even your memories begin to shift. Some feel too sharp, others disappear. Your mind edits things, not to lie to you, but to protect you. Because remembering everything exactly as it was would make it impossible to function. So it distorts, it blurs, it removes. And this is where people don't realize the cost. Survival isn't free, you pay for it later. In pieces of yourself, in connections you can't maintain, in moments you can't fully experience, in a version of life that never feels complete. And now it's too late. Because even when you try to go back, you can't. Not physically, psychologically. You can sit in a safe place and still feel like you're in danger. You can be surrounded by good people and still not trust them. You can build a new life and still feel like you don't belong in it. Because your brain isn't asking, am I safe now? It's asking, what's about to happen next? And that question never stops. This part stays with you. You start to understand something deeper. People don't leave dangerous systems. They normalize them. Because normalization is how the brain survives. It makes the abnormal feel predictable. It makes fear feel familiar. And familiarity feels like control, even if it's not. And when you leave, you lose that structure. You lose that clarity. You lose the rules your brain depended on. So what does your mind do? It tries to recreate it. Not consciously, but subtly. You seek patterns. You look for threats. You build control where there is none. Because uncertainty feels worse than danger, you understand. And this is where life becomes something else entirely. You're not just living anymore. You're managing. Managing thoughts, managing reactions, managing the constant background noise in your mind. And something changes again. You stop asking, why am I like this? And you start accepting it. Because fighting it doesn't work. Ignoring it doesn't work. Explaining it doesn't work. So you adapt. Again and again and again. You don't leave. You become someone who knows too much. Too aware. Too prepared. Too alert. And it isolates you. Not because people reject you, but because they can't meet you where you are. They don't see what you see. They don't think the way you think. They don't feel the constant tension under everything. So you stay quiet. You stay controlled. You stay distant. And now it's too late. Because even when you want connection, you don't know how to lower the guard that kept you alive. And without that guard, you don't feel like yourself. So you keep it, even if it costs you everything else. This is what changes you. Not the danger itself, but the adaptation to it. Because danger ends, but adaptation doesn't. You carry it into every room, every conversation, every decision, and slowly, it becomes your identity. Not something you went through, but something you are. And the most uncomfortable part is this. You needed it. Everything you became was necessary. It saved you. But now, it's the thing that keeps you from fully living. And this is the final shift. You stop trying to go back to normal because you realize normal doesn't exist for you anymore. There's only forward, only integration, only learning how to live with a mind that was built for survival in a world that expects comfort. And most people will never understand that because they've never had to become someone else just to stay alive. But maybe that's not the real question. Maybe the real question is this. If your environment slowly changed you into someone you barely recognize, would you even notice? Or would you just call it who you are now?